You'll end up with a viability issue.
What about the areas that aren't being used, like you go along Tilapia through Monica and the sprinklers are watering that grass in between the school and the church. There are lots of areas like that you drive along that are pretty green areas that are not utilised, that seem to get watered. I can't think of the others. There's several that I've driven past and I've seen them being watered, whether it's nature strips in Red Hill or it's those kind of areas, and yet the water usage seems to have been cut on ovals and recreation areas, but there still seem to be areas that are pretty green.
Yeah, well, they went through the whole process of irrigating the Harrison sports fields to get the grass growing, and then stopped irrigating and it's all gone brown.
That would be the grass type we use cooch, and it's gone dormant in winter as it does.
Right, fair point.
So cooch uses less water.
Sorry, retraction, that's all right.
So when they've done those kind of new ovals, why haven't they looked at the technology where it basically goes back into the areas? My kids are movement, and I know they spend a lot of money in having it all go through to irrigate, and people like this make comments about how green the lawn is, but that's because it's all being green.
And Bursley has on-site water tanks and a range. So
is it because of the cost that they need to do that with the Harrison?
Oh no, that's well, Harrison has ponds, and Harrison School has large water tanks.
So it's the wrong time.
Sometimes. In terms of the Harrison fields, so they are at a higher standard of drainage and grass type in terms of using less water, and there will be on-site water tanks in addition, I understand, to the ones that are already in the school that can serve part of the needs for Harrison, for the school itself and its playgrounds. But I mean, this is a longer-term challenge. There was a joint Commonwealth ACT government initiative around the Flemington, around the racetracks, etc., some stormwater retention there to try and do a little bit better. Some of the areas you'd be seeing as green elsewhere in the city are on the Actues greywater coming from the Fishwick sewer treatment, and Southwell Park has its own sewer mining, so that's why it looks a bit greener than some areas. So we've got it's nearly a $20 million program around sports fields. We're into the first year of that, so about $4 million of that has been rolled out to look at these sorts of solutions, be it extending greywater networks, on-site water tanks.
So it's Nullarbor one of those ones that
Nullarbor isn't on that current program. The priority in Gungahlin has been Harrison, the district and neighbourhood ovals of Harrison, and then the next priority to address the issue for the AFL club will be the enclosed oval in the town centre. What we've effectively got is a hierarchy of sports fields. We went and did an assessment of every, so nearly 270 hectares of playing fields across the entire territory. And sat down with all of the sports last year and did a prioritisation exercise, put additional lights on the ones so we utilise the most so that they get better usage. So we maximise our playing fields given the amount of water we've got. So we're going to address some supply side issues with water, i.e. get some other sources, preferably not from the potable water supply, but water tanks, greywater, etc. So we address the supply side, but then we also need to address how much water we use, the sorts of grass types we have, and how we can, in some instances that means going to synthetic surfaces. So we've got a couple of pilots with particular sports now around having synthetic playing surfaces.
So was the one at Harrison was the higher one because it's utilised in all sports?
Well, it will be, and we've got for example, ACT Cricket has been successful in getting about a $400,000 grant from Cricket New South Wales as part of their regional support programs to upgrade the pavilion and other facilities that will be in Harrison. So it will be a higher status field, or fields. We'll be able to accommodate more sports.
Is that also utilised by the school as well as the playing field?
Not yet, but it will be, yes.
Just if some of you better maintained ovals in the area. Amaroo is a lovely area, and it's lovely, well maintained, but I find it really annoying that there are constantly golfers there ripping up great chunks of turf. Not only that, they don't seem to mind that they might hit a child or a family in the head with their golf balls.
Gungahlin undersupplied with golf.
As you know, there's two huge golf courses here. There's absolutely
But still,
no
Nichols
need.
is undersupplied.
Can't we have some signage
Well,
saying,
certainly I can get
and
there.
fines?
Yeah.
Because they're wrecking, you're spending a hell of a lot of money to maintain those ovals, and they're wrecking them.
Thank you for that. Now, one thing that we wanted to talk about, Andrew's from Cork, Canberra Off-Road Cycling Club, and Andrew's done a little bit of work with regard to potentially using semi-formal trails to provide some linkages through the reserves to town centre to fill in some of the pedestrian gaps. I'll put this so you can see it also, it's a little squished on the screen, but it looks fine for everyone else. Drew?
Yeah, some time back we approached Parks Conservation and Lands hoping to get some limited amount of off-road cycling trail within the Gungahlin area, because at the moment the closest thing is Majura Pines, which is also slated to have a substantial amount of its area reduced when Majura Road gets duplicated. But for kids in the local area, they just simply don't have access to anything. And what we're finding is that there's a lot of illegal riding that's happening both in Percival Ridge and in Mulligan's Flats, because there's simply no alternative. People are also tending to bush bash to get from point A to point B. So there is travel that's already going, again, through Percival Ridge and across some of the grassland areas back towards the town centre. We requested or put in a proposal to use part of the semi-natural open space section there near the town centre on the hill above the Scout Hall.
Yep.
And got told, well, the draft plan of management for urban open spaces and public sports grounds in Gungahlin says that that's a semi-natural open space. It's therefore incompatible with formal recreation, and so, no, forget about it. It would appear that the plan of management doesn't recognise that mountain biking exists at all. And so where things like cricket, soccer, football have formal sports grounds allocated to them, golf has formal sports grounds allocated to it, there's a skate park, things like that. This particular sporting usage just doesn't exist, and there's no provision for it whatsoever within the Gungahlin region.
Plenty of provision at Stronglow Forest Park, but not enough.
There is, but if you're a kid on a push bike, Stronglow might as well be sitting.
Yep.
Really.
Yep.
I'm getting safely to the shops and school.
Yeah.
And
So
TAMS have seen fit to interpret it as formal.
PCNL said that informal recreation was things like bushwalking or cycling on cycle paths, but that being on a mountain bike was formal recreation. And the only place that that's allowed is on a formal sporting field. And obviously, people don't want mountain bikers running around at the local football level. Although it sounds like the Nuttall Oval might be perfectly suited.
Lots of divots to jump over.
Lest they get hit by a golf.
What we're looking at is some small network of multi-user trails that might be viable to put into the Gungahlin area. This is literally cobbled up during today's sort of lunch break, so it's not a formal layout kind of thing. There are two sections that are marked in red. One is the trail going from about Show Place in Nichols back through Percival Ridge and giving a link up to that Gundaroo Road and Nadur Street intersection. The other, which personally I think would be more useful, is at the moment, although there is quite a good multi-user trail network within Mulligan's Flat of equestrian trails and land management trails, there is no linkage of that back to Horse Park Drive, which means that people who want to use those trails, which are even advertised as a really great place to go and ride a bike by pedal power, have no option.
You end up
to get in,
trying to get across fences and sheep paddocks to get back to home.
And there are a substantial number of people I'm told, are already riding in Mulligan's flats. It's just that at the moment there's a sort of head in the sand attitude.